Students, welcome to our worship experience. I'm Josh, and I'm glad to be here with you today. I hope throughout these next few moments, you're able to connect with God through what you experience. And while you're here, share a link with a friend. Make sure that you let them know that we're worshiping Jesus tonight, because we know there's no better way to inspire and encourage to come together as one family worshiping our God. And wherever you are and however you're watching, make sure to focus your hearts and your minds on the truth that these songs express. These are just prayers you can pray along with us. Now I'm going to turn it over to the band as we invite you to worship with us.
Struggle through the garden, following a serpent, tempted, but your love ran after me. You gave me what I needed, stole away my secrets. How could I deserve your love for me? Even in my weakness, you are always there. I can see your light chasing after me. You are good to me. I can hear your voice calling out for me. You are good to me. Yeah. I stumbled through the desert, stranded by my failures, empty, but your love ran after me. Gave me what I needed, broken, now completed. I do not deserve your love for me. Even in my failures, you will never fail. Yeah. I can see your light chasing after me. You are good to me. I can hear your voice calling out for me. chases the dark. Love illuminates every shadow, my strength for tomorrow, the hope in my heart. When I'm weak, I know you're beside me. You'll never leave. When I'm weak, I know you're beside me. You'll never leave. I am fearless. I don't walk through the valley alone. I am fearless. Down the darkest of roads, your love will carry me on. Love, the proof of your goodness. Whenever I'm falling, you shield me from harm. And when I am lost, I know you will find me, and you'll never leave. And when I am lost, I know you will find me, and you'll never leave. I am fearless. I don't walk through the valley alone. I am fearless. Down the darkest of roads, your love will carry me on. Your love will carry me on. Jesus, your love will break down the walls and light up the way, light up the way. Jesus, your love will tear through the dark and light up the way, light up the way. Jesus, your love will break down the walls and light up the way, light up the way. Jesus, your love will tear through the dark and light up the way. I am fearless. I don't walk through the valley alone. I am fearless. Down the darkest of roads, your love will carry me on. Your love will carry me on. Love will carry me on.
We're all holding on to something. Something to give us hope, assurance, peace, comfort, or even happiness. When I was younger, I had this itty bitty baby doll. This thing was my everything. From the day that I got it, my toddler hands never let that thing go. Some of you can remember a time in your life, maybe when you were younger, when you had a certain blankie or a toy or an action figure or a little car that was your everything. And you held on to that thing from the moment you woke up, and you wouldn't even go to sleep without having that thing close by. When I was 4 years old, my parents decided to move my family and I from New York City to Phoenix, Arizona, and we drove across the country. I was jammed in the back seat of a minivan with my brothers, and long car ride, so I decided to take a nap. I put my head against the window, baby doll in my hand. And when I woke up, I began to scream and cry because I couldn't find my doll. We searched all over the back seat. My parents pulled over and looked, and that thing was gone. We realized that the back of the minivan window was cracked open, and that's how my little baby doll that I loved so much flew right out of. My doll, my everything, faded away, out of my life forever. And it's normal human behavior for us to want to hold on to things that we cherish. Even thousands of years ago, there was this guy in the Old Testament, and his name was Moses. And he was holding on to something. See, for a time in Moses' life, he was a shepherd out in the mountains, and he would hold a staff in his hand. And what this staff would symbolize was it would symbolize the fact that he was a shepherd. And he would use this staff to herd the animals, but also to protect them against any kind of predators that were coming. You see, the staff was what gave Moses comfort and assurance and security with him being a shepherd. And I'm sure that that staff also gave his family peace when he would go off to the fields. And all of his animals knew who their shepherd was because of that staff that he held. But then God comes in. God comes to Moses and does something so crazy to call him to something bigger. God asks Moses in Exodus chapter 4, verse 2, "What is in your hand?" And Moses says, "A staff." And that's when God does the first miracle of many with the staff. He tells Moses to throw his staff down onto the ground. And the second that that staff hits the ground, it turns into a snake. God then turns the snake back into a staff. And it's from that point on that miracle after miracle would be done through Moses and the staff. See, it's through the staff that God is able to send his power, to send the 12 plagues into Egypt and to set the Israelites free from their slavery. It's the staff that Moses slammed into the water to part the Red Sea. It is the staff that Moses struck rocks in the wilderness to bring forth water when there was none. And it is the staff that was held up during a battle that everyone thought that they were going to lose. But God's power conquered the unconquerable. See, Moses had to decide. He had to be willing to choose to hold on to the staff, but not because he was a shepherd anymore, but because the staff held the power of God. And that's what he chose to hold on to. Because of all the crazy things that Moses did and all the miracles that Moses did through the power of God, Moses was like the Michael Jordan of the Israelites. No one was on his level, and his legacy was talked about for generation after generation, and we still talk about him today. But God did promise someone greater than Moses would come. And this man was Jesus. And we know about this from Hebrews chapter 3, verses 3 through 6. For Jesus is considered worthy of more glory than Moses, just as the builder has more honor than the house. Now every house is built by someone, but the one who built everything is God. Moses was faithful as a servant in all God's household, as a testimony to what would be said in the future. But Christ was faithful as a son over his household, and we are that household if we hold on to the courage and the confidence of our hope. See, God built the house, and Moses was the top servant in the house, and he always talked about a greater servant that was coming. And Jesus is the Son of God and the servant we've all been waiting for. And we are that household if we hold on to the courage and the confidence of our hope. Now, to point out the obvious, we're all stuck in our households. But I don't want us to forget the fact that we are part of a bigger household. We are all a part of God's household. And in this house, we have to remember how faithful Jesus has been to us. And in this house, the only thing we need to do is hold on to the courage and the confidence of our hope. hold on to the courage and the confidence of Jesus. Sometimes that's easier said than done. And we can be holding on to different things, holding on to disappointments, holding on to achievements, holding on to fear, holding on to regret. And these things can manifest themselves in different things that we tangibly hold on to, like our phones or a game controller, or holding on to a relationship, or holding on to a certain reputation. See, we're only holding on to these things because we want to have hope. We want them to give us assurance and comfort and purpose and stability and happiness. But you guys, these things are fading away, and that will not last. See, Jesus is the only thing that we could ever hold on to that will last forever. And the hope and the courage and the confidence and the perseverance and the purpose and the joy that we get from Jesus will never fade away. And every day we have a choice to make. See, we can choose to continue to hold on to things that fade away, or we can choose to hold on to Jesus. Jesus cannot and will not ever leave us. He will not fade away. So that leaves you guys with a question you need to answer first on your own. You've got to answer, what are the things in your life that you're holding on to that are going to fade away? Later this week, you're going to have the opportunity in your groups to talk about it. Talk to your leaders and be real. Get deep and say things that you've been holding on to that you're sick of holding on to, because now you know that they're going to fade away. And together as a group, you'll be able to come up with ways to hold on to Jesus. See, Moses was no longer holding the staff of a shepherd. Moses was holding on to the staff of the power of God. So, would you begin to let go of things that fade away so that you can hold on to Jesus?
Speak to me. You're the only voice I want to hear.
God, that's our prayer, that all the distractions would just fade away and that your presence would be made known in every part of our life. In this time, Lord, of uncertainty and unknown, we cling to your word and we place our trust in you and in you alone because we know that you are trustworthy. We know that you are good. We're going to continue to make this our prayer. We love you, Lord.
Roughest water, I won't go under, I won't drown. And when I'm in over my head, I know that you won't let me down. When I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. Surrounds me, I won't fear. Oh, when I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. Something good. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. You are always able. Through the darkest night, you are on my side.
We believe in the God this song just described. We know he can make good in any circumstance, no matter what. So thanks for joining us this week, and thanks for adding to the conversation in the chat. It's been great hanging out with you. Now we're going to continue this conversation later in the week, so make sure to reach out to those people who haven't been in group lately and tell them that they are missed. And if you're not in a group, it's so easy, and we can get you in a group by this weekend. Just text students to 72020, and there will be a group waiting to welcome you. Now, before you leave, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and other social media platforms. Thanks for worshiping with us tonight. See you next Wednesday.